RFK Jr. just announced that they're going to be looking into mifepristone and possibly rescinding the patents for it, or the approval for it, excuse me, which, you know, is responsible. I think 60% of all abortions are, or something like the vast majority are, you know, medical abortions, easy pills, and done early on in the early stages. So I guess I was just wondering also about like the sort of reproductive justice angle of the fucking world we're living in right now, of how much our hospital workers and clinicians, like, kind of like our enemies, like become these, like narcs, like people who could possibly imprison us, cops.
Yeah. I mean, and disabled people have been writing and thinking about this for a long time. And, you know, people who use drugs and racialized parents too, the way that the healthcare workforce is deputized to, you know, be this arm of surveillance, enforcement, reporting, right? I mean, thinking to like Dorothy Roberts's work, looking at family policing, so much of that sort of reporting infrastructure comes through healthcare workers too. But I think it's worth thinking about really what are the arguments being used around banning or revoking the approval for mifepristone, which is like full on pseudoscientific bullshit, right? Like the supposed alleged data that RFK is referring to here is like specious. It really, there is no basis for this. They are cherry picking because, and I think it's important, and it's like an obvious point, but it's too easy to be like, oh, well, they're just concerned with safety and they're just really worried about whether or not this has been studied properly. And this is the kind of like alibi that they've used for everything, for MMR vaccines, for the like absolutely ridiculous and eugenic crusade to make a list of people with autism and prove, you know, what causes autism, which is like a whole other conversation. But, you know, for each of these,
I wonder what they will find. I mean, we've been counting on this for a while now, but yes, keep going.
Exactly what they were looking for,
right?
It's and this is also, I think, evidenced in the kind of carbon copy of the UK's CAS review that they just put out, which was like 400 pages about, you know, alleging like safety concerns as a pretext for denying trans care across the board. So, you know, it's worth always pushing back on the fact that like this argument around safety is not only ridiculous coming from someone who like loves bathing in polluted water, like drinks raw milk, had a brain worm, eats roadkill, like taped a whale to the top of his car with his kids inside. Like, you know, there's that kind of like comedy level, you know, but then at the baseline, it's important to think about how it's really just a bunch of kind of discussion around safety and integrity and protection, right? And at the end of the day, what's going on is really like a rollback of abortion access in the name of safety, right?
Mm-hmm. And, you know, just speaking on, you know, we talked about, you know, you talk about your own disabilities and, you know, disability rights. And given that RFK Jr. is also, I think, simultaneously trying to basically say people who have like a mental illness or, you know, even something like depression or ADHD, that like he's going to be looking into SSRIs or going to be looking into any kind of psychological meds. Like that is terrifying, and replacing them with, you know, and I'm big on a meditation. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love meditation, but like replacing them with wellness camps and meditation and all that, to say nothing of, treating autistic people as if they're useless. They can't do anything. They can't even go to the bathroom by themselves, which is bullshit. Like we've heard this term, soft eugenics. My friends over at Conspirituality say it. Where do you stand on like how this administration is approaching the disabled and disability rights, and sort of almost really blame? I think you talk a lot about the way that the system blames people for their own health conditions.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect to Conspirituality, I think soft eugenics is a little too gentle, Right. This is just straight up eugenics, especially when you put it in the context of like the reproductive stuff that they've been talking about, where they want to give out awards to people, women who have had 6 or more children are going to get like a motherhood award. I mean, that is like straight out of Nazi Germany. There is really no daylight between the Make America Healthy Again agenda and what we know of is sort of classical eugenics, from the reproductive control angle all the way to the blame for societal problems on vulnerable populations, to like politics of elimination and extermination, which we've also, with no exaggeration, heard from them explicitly, right? And this is something they committed to. They want to eliminate chronic illness in the United States. They're not going to do that through making sure that people have care. They're not going to do that through looking at the real reasons why people have chronic illness in the US. What they're doing is really kind of like offering magical thinking to expand the carceral state. And it's the same logic that says that the cure for poverty is bootstraps, or, this is like the cure for illness is like milk and vibes, right? That's really it. But
even more than that, because someone's got to make money. I mean, it feels like we're in a time where the private healthcare industry has been so, allowed to fester, to prey on people, to, swindle people, that if you're not in it, you're not making the money. And so what are the new ways? And it's got to be alternative medicine, and I believe in some of it, but like the alternative medicine, it's got to be my supplements, because we've got to actually make a profit. And it's ironic because these are the same people who ostensibly say they don't like big pharma's money. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do